The iGrow 1400 controller can be used to regulate the amount of CO2 inside the greenhouse by controlling CO2 pumps or injectors. First things first though, you would need to install and map the Link4 CO2 sensor, and you would need to install this sensor on the designated CO2 digital sensor input location AIN6, as well as an optional light sensor if you want to initiate light sensor conditions. So to program CO2, we'd go ahead and do the following. Hit Enter Menu, Program Equipment, and as you can see, Output 2 has no equipment. We'll hit Enter Menu and we'll make this output CO2. Hit back. Now as you can see, you have a start and end time. Now these start and end times could be at a specific time, or you can have them at sunrise or sunset. And for this example, we'll have the start time at 12 a.m. and the end time at 8 p.m. and then hit Next. Within the active time period that we just programmed, CO2 will inject to the min CO2 level, which is the minimum CO2 level, as well as inject CO2 to the max CO2 level within the active time period if both of the following conditions are met. But first we're going to go ahead and initiate our min CO2 level, which will be 615 ppms, and our max CO2 level we will have it at 1200 ppms. Now at this location where it says less than equal to, we'll go ahead and make this to be cool 2. Now within the active time period that we programmed, CO2 will be injected to the min CO2 level 615 ppms, as well as inject CO to the max CO2 level 1200 ppms within the active time period if both of the following conditions are met. The first condition, the current cooling stage is less than or equal to the indicated stage. This means that the iGrow 1400 will not inject CO2 up to the maxed CO2 level for cooling stages above this indicated cool stage of cool 2. Now this can be used to prevent excessive loss of CO2 due to high fans being on and vents being open. Next, now that we have changed the minimum light level to 200 watts per meter square, according to the second condition, the current light level must be above the programmed minimum light limit. Now, if there's no light sensor present, then the controller will inject the CO2 to the max CO2 level, assuming the condition number 1 has been satisfied. Now that we have finished entering our parameters, you would hit the back button all the way to the home screen to save our CO2 programming. Once at the home screen, we can now check and see if our CO2 sensor is in fact reading current ppm levels within the greenhouse. And as you can see, we do have a reading, and since we do have a reading, we can flip our injectors to auto, and allow our CO2 programming to come into effect. And that's our video on CO2 programming and understanding.